Okay, so let's recap what we discussed and what we did in the system till last session. So in the last few sessions, we discussed about the meaning of Oracle Fusion Financials applications and the meaning of Fusion and Cloud and what are the different subscription options are available from Oracle for the customers, and landscape of the instances which we use in the implementation of any projects. And we have seen in the system how to create implementation user with these two basic roles, and discussed about functional setup manager where we can perform the system configuration as per FSM. So we use the terminology called as offerings and options. For product families offerings, for applications we call as options. And we created an implementation project to perform the setups. After completing those tasks, we have seen how to create accounting calendar to capture the dates during the transaction creation. And we discussed about currency. If you enter any amounts in the system as a part of transaction, the amounts need to be addressed with the currency. The type of currencies we discussed. And to capture the description of the transaction, we need to create chart of accounts. How the chart of accounts can be created in the system. The sequence of steps we discussed, but we didn't perform in the system. And when you create the chart of accounts, how many segments are minimum segments? Those are 2 we discussed. Max you can create up to 30 segments. When you look at real business cases, how many segments we use to create the chart of accounts, those points also we discussed. Okay, the key basic segments are company and account. And mostly you see the department in every implementation. The rest of segments all depends on client business. And we always suggest to have a 1 or 2 future segments so that in future, if client require new segments, they can start using those segments by giving the right names. To create the chart of accounts, these are the series of tasks we have to perform. And in the last session, already we completed the value sets creation. For all these segments, we created value sets creation. For last 6 sessions, we completed 6 sessions, but not covered much since these were initial classes. We discussed very limited content. If any reason, if you missed out those sessions, those videos are available and you can keep in touch with our team to get the last 6 sessions videos. Okay, what we discussed is very much limited. Since we could see the limited participants in the last sessions, we limited the discussions also. So that's all about completed sessions. Now in today's session, once again, we'll create the value sets and we'll proceed with the rest of tasks which need to be performed as a part of chart of accounts. Yes, we did already value sets creation, but once again, we are going to do in this environment. Yep. So we are using the name called as Amex. We created a user with Amex name. We created a calendar with Amex name. Now chart of accounts also we are going to create with Amex. So go to our implementation project, task list, manage implementation projects, click on overview. So from this project, we can do all the setups. Open this project. So we want to create value sets for each segment. To maintain the values, we need value sets. We are going to create the value sets quickly. Already we have seen in the last session, it won't take more than 5 minutes. Let's create again and we'll continue with the remaining setups. So search for the task called as chart of accounts value sets. Chart of accounts value sets is the task name. Click on go to task icon. And from here, we can create the value sets. Click on create. So to maintain all the company's information, let's create company value set. So here you can give prefix as Amex company. Description is not mandatory. This value set we are going to use within the GL application. Select application as a general ledger. Validation type select as a independent. Rest we will discuss, but not very important now. Select independent. Always, mostly we use independent only. So value data type, within the value set, what data you want to enter? Date, time, or date or numbers? No, character. Character allows anything. So value subtype you can select as a text. Yes, we are going to input the text. Maximum length you can give as a 4. Means company's codes I want to enter in 4 digits. Reality, this number can be decided by client as a part of implementation. Whether they want to have a 2-digit company code or 3 digits or 4 digits, they can choose it. Done. Now, click on save and close. So this already we discussed. You can limit the values. When you review the previous session video, you can understand, but we generally don't use this rest. But those are already discussed. You can go through it. This is related to separate concept. When we deal with the concept, we'll come back to this page and we will look into those. So save and close. Okay, it's gone. Okay, this is a different instance. We'll use this instance for our setups. Okay, first, we will create our own user and we can proceed. So here, click on more. Please go on mute. Under tools, go to security console. Already these points we discussed. In the previous classes, we discussed how to create a user. Since that instance is down, I'm going to use this instance. Let's create our own user. Go to users, create our own user, add user account. The username is, we can give Amex. So assign 2 roles which are mandatory to work as a consultant. Those 2 already we discussed. Application implementation consultant. Application implementation consultant. And IT security manager. So these 2 roles will allow us to work as a consultant with full privileges. Set password. Okay, if you are finding these screens for first time, don't worry, just you can go through previous videos, those will help you. Yeah. So we are creating our own user. We can connect to the instance with our own user and we can start working on the system to keep setups ready. So this application implementation consultant role will help us to do the setups. But with the help of IT security manager role, we can create the new users and we can assign any roles to user based on the job what they are performing. Now just sign out from the current user. So connect to this instance as a Amex user, which we are going to use for our practice purpose. To perform the setups, we need implementation project. Okay, to perform the setups, we need implementation project. We'll go and create the implementation project. It won't take much time. So setup and maintenance. These all we discussed very detailed level in the previous classes. Just we are repeating without any discussions. To create our own implementation project, you can click on this task list or you can call as a task panel. Click on task list. Click on manage implementation projects. Click on create. Here you can give the implementation project name. Next. You can just update how you want to see the name. Now click on save and open project. Now system will create the blank project and you can add whatever the applications you are going to implement so that it will allow you to perform the setups. Okay, now we are creating the blank project. Once project is ready, we can add our financials into the project so that we can perform the finance setups. Our project is ready. These are the details. Now we are going to add financials into this project so that we can do finance related setups. Add financials. Apply. Now we can continue with the setups. Okay, we'll go and create value set, and these are the other setups which you have to perform to keep our chart of accounts ready. If you could play the previous session videos, you will be able to connect to this. Yeah. Click on done. In the background, you can see financials added. Now we want to create the value sets. So go to task called as chart of accounts value sets. Just drag little right, you could see full task name. Use this task. Manage chart of accounts value sets. Manage chart of account value sets. Use this task to create the value sets. Click on go to task icon to go to this relevant page to create the value sets. From here we can create. Click on create. You can give the name as Amex company. This value set we are using in which application? Application or module, both are same. Select application as general ledger application. And validation type select as independent. The company information is going to be independent. Value data type, select character, it will allow alphanumeric data. Select value subtype as a text, not time or numbers. So what company code you want to give, and how many digits you want to give company code, that you can talk to your client, and based on the finalization you can enter. For our testing, let's use 4. Now say save and close. And we have to create few more value sets. Department, account, intercompany, project, future 1, future 2. Let's create all these value sets so that for all these segments, you can maintain the relevant data in the system. Click on create. The value set name is Amex department. Select module. Validation type, you can take the same, independent. Value data type is character. Value subtype is text. Maximum length, let's take 4 for department also. Say save and close. This is how simple to create the value set. The same you have to repeat for rest of segments. The next segment we are going to use in our chart of accounts is account. Amex account. Select value set, select module as a general ledger. Independent, validation type, character, text. So you will understand all these, we will discuss, but now not required. Mostly we use independent. So even see, now we are creating. If system is going to create these value sets through automatic process, System also will select independent only. Okay, we will discuss rest also. We have to understand anyway. For account, I want to give 5 digits. If you look at accounts and all, every company will have accounts in thousands and lakhs also. So based on the company size, you can just give the maximum length by looking at how many accounts being used for their business operations. We are giving 5 length for account. Say save and close. Click on create. The next segment, intercompany. If any business transactions takes place internally, where one company is selling to other company is purchasing from different company, these transactions are not with your suppliers or customer, kind of internal, kind of providing the service or sharing the expense or taking the services, different reasons. You may have internal transactions. To accommodate those scenarios into system environment, you can use the segment called as intercompany. So say Amex intercompany. Select module as a general ledger. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Maximum length. Whatever the length we are using for company, the same we have to use for intercompany. All the companies will use as intercompanies. 4. So save and close. The next segment we are going to use project. That means whenever we record the business transaction, we want to capture the transactions belongs to which company, which department, what exact activity we are doing that we want to capture with account. If it is internal transaction, the transactions are happening between which 2 companies that we have to select with these 2. Otherwise, this is not applicable. Any transaction you record with which is related to projects, you may do projects internally, you may do projects for your customer as a part of your business that you may capture. Again, if it is applicable, the transactions belongs to which project you can select, otherwise you can ignore. So in the future, there could be business expansion or some acquisitions, some other kind of growth in the business. So in such kind of scenarios, if you need additional segments, we cannot add in the system. We should not add, and we can add, but we should not add. So that will create many data inconsistency issues. For existing data, there will be harm. That is the reason we have to create some buffer space with the segments called as future 1, future 2. In future, if you want to use any one additional segment, you can convert. So you want to use some product line as a new segment in the future after 1, 2, 3 years down the line. Then you can convert the future one into product line. So this is how you can create additional space to use, since we should not add additional segments in the future. So let's create segment called as project. Let's create value set called as project for project segment. Click on create. You can name it as Amex project. Select module, general ledger application. The validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Length you can give say 4. This is all we have to discuss with the client. Client will just decide what length they need. Generally, when they create the project codes, what is the code length they need. Accordingly, they can give the number, we can create it. So we created up to project. Now we have to create 2 more value sets for these 2 segments. So Amex future 1. So validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. Maximum length, you can say 4. Save and close. So we need to create one more value set for future 2 segment. Validation type is independent. Value data type is character. Subtype is text. So maximum length you can say 4. So we created value sets for all the segments. For each segment, we create a value set. With the help of value set, we can store this segment related values. So value sets acts as a containers for the values, segments. So we're done with this. So we'll see what are the value sets we created in one go. Search with Amex. You can find all the value sets, whatever we created just now. So these are the 7 value sets we created for 7 segments. Company, department, account, intercompany project, future 1, future 2. Yeah. What is the next step to get ready with the chart of accounts? We have to create chart of account structure name. So as we discussed in the earlier session, so for each segment, we need one value set. That's what we created. Value sets we created. Now we have to give the chart of account structure name. So within the chart of accounts, we can create the segments. When you create the segments, these value sets you can assign to relevant segments. And within these value sets, you can add the values. That clearly we discussed here as a list of setups. So now we are going to give our chart of account structure name. This complete company's department accounts projects all belongs to which organization that we have to give as a chart of account structure name. Where we can create the chart of accounts, we discussed already. The chart of account structure you can create within the accounting key flex field. That accounting key flex field is available as a part of general ledger application. So within this accounting key flex field feature, we can create chart of account structure. Within the chart of account structure, you can have segments, you can associate value sets to segments, and you can create the segment values. Whatever we discussed, we are going to see now. So let's create chart of account structure. Okay, create chart of account structure or call as chart of account structure name. So click on save and close. The setups also you can see in the sequence. We completed value sets. Now we are going to create the structure. Within the structure itself, you can create segments. You can assign value sets to segments. You can assign segment labels to segments. So this all you can complete within the chart of account structure itself. Click on go to task icon. And click on search. So here is the accounting flex field. The title is key flex field name, accounting flex field, or you can call as accounting key flex field. The display name they are giving as accounting flex field. Reality that is accounting key flex field. So by using the accounting key flex field or accounting flex field, we can create our chart of account structure. To create the chart of account structure within the accounting flex field, which is part of general ledger application, click on manage structures. Click on manage structures. So when we do the implementation, how many chart of account structures we have to create? One is enough. For one country, one you create. Even if you are running the business in 100 countries, the same chart of account can be used across all the geographies. For multiple countries, you can use the same chart of accounts. When we use one chart of account for multiple countries, that we start calling as a global chart of accounts. If you are using chart of accounts in one country, just it is a local. If you are using chart of accounts in multiple countries, same chart of accounts, we call as a global chart of accounts. Nowadays, whatever the implementations we see, almost all are global chart of accounts being used. There are benefits if you use same chart of accounts. So the value maintaining the values, there are many benefits we can enjoy. That is the reason always we use global chart of accounts. So to create the chart of account structure, click on this add icon, plus icon, and here we have to enter our chart of account structure name. For our testing and discussion purpose, we are taking the name as American Express. Okay, we are taking the name as American Express company. So the short name is Amex. Let's take the same. Say Amex chart of account structure. You can give the name as Amex chart of accounts structure. This is how you can give the name. But reality, we don't give the name like this. Always we give the name as where we are creating this, accordingly we provide the name. When you do the real-time implementations, we don't write the name as Amex chart of accounts. We simply write it as Amex accounting flex fill. This is how we provide the name. Don't write the name as chart of accounts. Even if it is chart of accounts, the chart of accounts where we are creating in the accounting flex fill. So that we are creating for which company? Company called as Amex, American Express. So this is how we have to present the name when we create the chart of account in the system. Follow the same when you practice. Follow the same when you're part of implementation. The same structure code I am taking as a name. Description is optional. You may take it. And delimiter. What is a delimiter? Here we discussed few points. So these are the values we have in the value sets. Now I want to create one transaction. The transaction belongs to company 2. Company 2 means I'll take 2. Instead of taking Amex BPO services, I'll take 2. And the department is finance department, means 1. I want to separate account with a department. So I'm putting dot. 2.1 means 2 means company, 1 means department. The account is admin expense. I will give 3. I want to separate it, otherwise it doesn't make sense. 2.1.3. So these are the different codes: company code, department code, account code. The 3 codes, when I'm going to take as a part of transaction, I have to separate these 3 codes so that anyone can understand very easily. Otherwise, if I keep this as a 1-3, it may be department number. You might have 20 departments, or else it could be account number. There is no clue. So that is the reason every segment related code you have to separate. For that separation, you can use any symbol, maybe dot or comma or slash or pipe symbol. So that we call as delimiter. Delimiter is nothing but the segment value separator. Okay, the segment values. When you have all these values in the system, at the time of transaction creation, you have to select the transaction belongs to which company, which department, which account, which intercompany or which project. This all we have to select. When you select these values from the different value sets, those need to be separated with relevant symbols. Okay, for that you can use the delimiter. So you can use this pipe symbol, star, plus, etc. pipe symbol, or anything you can use. I'm just selecting as a dot, or else you can put hyphen, anything you can use. I'm selecting dot. Now, this is how we have to create the chart of account structure name. We given the name, and here we have to create the segments. If you want to create the segments here, this create icon should be enabled. Okay, but it's not enabled. So for that, you can click on save. Once you save these inputs, it will allow you to create the segments. So when you are practicing, notice this point. When you practice, when you are on this page, same time, if other person is on the same page, it will allow you only one person to save. System will create the lock. Once one person will get into the action in this page, it will hold the lock. It won't allow other people to perform any task in this page same time. Make a note. When you practice, when you click on save, if system is going to give you message, the other person is holding the lock, don't worry. Try after some time. That's it. So this is not applicable for most of the pages in the Fusion. Only for chart of account related creation page only it is applicable. as a part of implementation, this is a one-time activity. Just we create, we will keep using it. So click on save. So if no other person is on this page, okay, other user is not on the page, so it will allow. It allowed. It saved. Now I can see under segments, the plus icon to create the new segments. So we discussed and plan to create these segments. We are going to create these segments. For company segment, we assign company value set. Assign value set to segments. We create company segment. For company segment, we assign the company value set so that company values you can maintain within the value set. Those can be accessed by company segment. We'll see that. So click on create icon. You can give the segment name, company, and its system is taking the segment code as an API name. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It's a completely related to technical. So we no need to do anything. So you could see the pop-up message also what it says. This is used by technical team if they are going to build any customizations, if they are creating something new. It could be a report or some other technical components, or it might be some integrations with the third-party applications, or it may be related to some web services which are used for kind of integrations purposes. So this name can be used for mapping purposes. You provide the segment code, system will default the segment code as the API name. You don't do any changes, accept as it is, and you can copy the segment code, provide as a name, description, and within our chart of accounts, our segment number is 1. The company segment is going to be the first segment. And this segment we are creating as a company within our chart of accounts. How you want to display this name to business users when they record the transaction, how you want to display this company name. Prompt is nothing but display name. I want to display company as a company only. And short prompt. If you have very long names, you can give the short name. The company is very short name, you can accept, or else you can put short name as a like this. And display width. You could see the segment code, the field size is like it, you can say like around 30 characters field size. If you look at sequence number field sizes, maybe it will allow, it can accommodate 4 or 5 digits directly without hiding. If you look at any other display width, this field can accommodate 6, 7 values like this. In the same way, this company segment, what size of field you require, that you can set as a display width. I'm giving 30 characters. Means 30 character space box it will open for company segment. That is the meaning of it. So already we discussed, we can create maximum 30 segments within the chart of accounts, but we never create 30. Nobody is using 30, not more than 10. So now when you create the segments, here we have to select, we are going to consume which is segment for company. So max you can create 30. Let's see whether we have 30 or not. Search. See 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 30. These are different. Attributes is different. Segments we are talking about 30 segments. So we are going to use segment 1 for company. If you select segment 1 for company, again segment 1 cannot be selected for other segments. And for company segment, we have to assign company value set. So assign value set to segment. So we created value sets, we created chart of account structure, name, and we are creating the segments. We are creating company segment. For company segment, we have to assign value set. Okay, assign value set to segment. Which value set? For company segment, we have to assign company value set. Click on search. Take as a, what is the value set name we given? Amex company. So Amex company value set, we are assigning to company segment. Now, so other point we discussed, assign segment labels to segments. Assign segment labels. We'll discuss what is the meaning of segment labels. So as of now, just make a note of the point what we are doing. Okay, we have to wait for some time where we can see impact of this. There we will discuss so that you can understand what is the purpose, how it is going to support us. For now, simple point is we have to assign segment labels to segment. So when you talk about company segment, okay, when you talk about company segment, for company segment, we have to assign primary balancing segment label. For company segment, what label we have to assign? Primary balancing segment label we have to assign. We'll go and assign this. Just make a note and remember. For now, later we will understand why we have to assign. Why we have to assign. You will come to know everything more detail level. For now, just as introduction, take this point. For company segment, what label we have to assign? Primary balancing segment label. Why? We don't know. We'll come to know. So this is the company segment. These are the segment labels. What label we have to assign? Primary balancing segment label. Now scroll little down. Here is the primary balancing segment label. You can double click. It will get selected into selected labels. It means we assign primary balancing segment label to company segment. That's it. So why we assign? We will understand. But now just make a note, we have to assign to company, that's all. Say save and close. So you cannot log this record because see, somebody started working on it. I request if anybody is working from our current team, okay, please you may quit from this page so that we can proceed. We just now discussed. So this chart of account creation page allows only one user at a time to perform any work. Seems to somebody is working on the same page. So it is created lock. You can read this message. Anyway, this is a good experience for us when we are learning. So you cannot log this record.
Lakshman, I have a question here. When you have these locks, right, in general, we in EBS on-prem, we reach out to DBAs and they look at, but in Fusion, what do we do? Like who is locking it?
We don't do anything, we'll wait. See, this is not applicable anywhere and everywhere. It is applicable only for chart of accounts when you create.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only one-time activity as a part of implementation. That too, as a finance consultant, we do it. Nobody will touch.
Okay. So, okay.
Rest of transaction creation and any other activities, no locks.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Right. So here you can contact the DBA, but DBA would be from Oracle team, Oracle side. Okay, there will be Oracle Cloud DBA team. You can just approach the DBAs by raising a service request.
Oh, and are they like prompt or it will be like, the regular service?
Regular. It is not like some bot service or chatting or something else. It's
not
the
like
traditional process of raising service request.
Okay.
Yeah. Fine. So somebody is working. So it is giving a message. You cannot log this record. It is already logged by another user. Somebody is working on this page. Let's wait. Yeah. Say save and close. Another user has changed the row with the primary key. So somebody is working. So it is showing some different name also. So some other user is working. It means close this, cancel. Let's try once again. So when you give the segment name, don't give any prefix or suffix. Segment name is segment name. Don't give Amex company and all. It is not a value. It is just segment name. Sorry. Just 1 second. So short prompt. Segment 1. Our value set name is Amex company. So assign Amex company value set to company segment. And we discussed we have to assign primary balance and segment label to company. Now say save and close. Let's hope the user is exit. Yeah, great. Now nobody is on this page. So what next segment? Department. So click on create. Don't give Amex department and all. For segment, just it's very key. The name only you have to provide. Because already we are inside of Amex accounting flex field. So you don't need to differentiate everything. You don't need to make uniqueness. So everything would be unique since we are in the Amex accounting flex field. So segment name is department. It will default the same as the API name. Accept it. That is purely for technical purposes. The same segment code you can take as a department name if required as a description. Description is optional. And take sequence number as 2. By mistake, if you give the gap between the segment numbers, your chart of account cannot be used to record the transactions. So ensure you are not creating any gap like 1, 2, 3, directly 5. Okay. Ensure you are not going to have any gap. Prompt. Short prompt. Display width. So display width you can say 30 characters. Field size we require for a department segment when we record the transactions. The range type and all don't touch. We don't require, nowhere it is useful. So you may have 2 segments like from and to. It may be something time or it could be something range of information. Generally we don't use it, Oracle given, but for our practice purpose also don't touch. If you touch this, you have to create 2 segments. One to represent low value, other one is high value. Don't touch this, not required, nowhere we use it. So column name. Select segment 2. If you try with the segment 1, it doesn't work. See, it is showing, but if you select, it is not allowing. The column name segment 1 already exists. Already we use it for company. You cannot use it. Only one is one type. So select segment 2. For department segment, you can assign department value set. Search. Our value set name is Amex department. Say okay. For a department segment, we have to assign one label. The purpose we will discuss later. Now you just take the point. Okay, for a department, you have to assign the label called as cost center. The cost center segment label. Fine. For a department, assign cost center segment label. Why we have to assign, we will discuss. So select cost center segment label and say save and close. As per our chart of accounts, the next segment is account segment. Create account segment. Click on create. Account. Number is 3. Prompt account. Short prompt. We may give a short prompt. Display with 30. Column name. Segment 3. For account segment, assign account segment value set to hold all the account related values. Amex account, that is the name we given. SI. Okay. Now, for account segment, we have to assign one label. The label name is natural account segment label. Okay. Natural account segment label. And here you can just select the same. So don't worry about why we are assigning. We have to understand for sure. Otherwise, it doesn't make any sense. We will understand, but now I can explain. It will, for many people, it will go over the head. So we'll find the right time. After just few sessions, we will reach the stage where these labels will start impacting. There we will discuss. So we assign so-and-so label to so-and-so segment. That is the reason this is what happening. This is how it is getting controlled. These points we will discuss. Yeah. For now, just follow this. So save and close. What is the next segment? Intercompany. Click on create. Intercompany. Take the code as a name. Sequence number. It's going to be 4th segment. This is a prompt. Short name I want to give as a INTR. Short name. Display width 30. So column name. 4th segment. So we should have a separate value set for intercompany. Okay, we should have a separate value set for intercompany. So we should not use the company value set. Reality, whatever the companies we are going to have in the company value set, the same we require for intercompany. But still, we have to use intercompany separate value set for intercompany. If somebody is from EBS background, I'm ready to answer why we have to use. If anybody is from EBS background, let me know. Who are not from EBS background, you no need to worry about it. You take the point as for intercompany, we have to maintain the separate value set. This is the point you have to take. If anybody is from EBS background, let me know. I will explain why it is. In EBS, you can use same company value set for intercompany segment also. But here you should not. If anybody from EBS background, if you know the functionality and all, let me know. I'll explain.
Yeah, why don't you elaborate, Lakshman?
No, are you from EBS background?
Yeah, I am.
Okay. So in EBS, what level security rules works? Do you have any idea?
At the value set level, you mean, or in general?
No. I'm asking general question. So we have a secure rules, cross-validation rules. These all we set different levels as a part of product functionality. What do you think? The security rules, SR works at what level as per EBS?
No.
Anything you can say, like just what is what you recollect, you tell me. Accordingly, I'll explain.
Secured rules in
EBS. Do you know EBS secured rules concept in EBS?
I'm not from general ledger.
You're talking about cross-validation rules. Am I right?
I'm talking about security rules, not cross-validation rules.
They're at the accounting.
Okay, forget about it. No worries. Let me explain. It may be useful for you. You may recall later. So in EBS, we have a concept called as SR, security rules. The security rules works at segment level. Since it works at segment level, the value set you may use for multiple segments. If there is a possibility, there won't be an impact on the value sets. But in Fusion, the security rules works at value set level. If you set any secure rule for company value set, if you are using the company value set for intercompany, the same rule will be applicable for intercompany also. That is the reason we have to maintain the separate value set since secure rules concept works at value set level and fusion. Just make a note, may be useful for you or else ignore it. Let's assign intercompany value set to intercompany segment. Who are not from EBS background, don't look at that point, not at all required for it. Amex intercompany. So for intercompany, we have to assign the label called as intercompany. Okay, we have to assign intercompany segment label to intercompany segment. What is the purpose? We don't know as of now. We will discuss. Now not required. So the same you can do in the system. Here is the intercompany segment label selected. Double click, it will get selected. It means we assign intercompany segment label to intercompany segment. Say save and close. So we are ready with the 4 segments. We have to create 3 more segments: project, future 1, future 2. Click on create. Project. A name. Project. Same, better you can copy and paste. Description. Let's go now 5th segment. Prompt. Short prompt is, I'm taking this 4 characters as short prompt. 30 characters field width size we require to display the project field. Column name. So 5th segment. For project, we have a separate value set. You can assign accordingly. Amex project, say okay. Fine. For project, you no need to assign any label. So save and close. When you understand why we use the labels, you'll understand why we no need to assign to project, or do we need to assign. That's all you can understand. For now, you take what we are discussing. Later, this all will get validated with the further discussions. Next segment is future 1. Click on create. Segment name is future 1. Don't give any company names within the segment names. Amex, future 1 and all, don't give anything. So 6th segment, prompt. And display with say 30. Column name, 6th segment. Default value set code. So Amex future 1, you have to assign to future 1 segment. No label need to be assigned. Say save and close. And just one more segment is due. Let's create it. Future 2. Sequence number 7th segment, prompt. Short prompt. Display with this 30. Column name, segment 7. Assign relevant value set. Amex future 2 we have to assign. Say okay. Say save and close. So we have seen how to create the value sets and how we can create the chart of account structure by assigning those value sets to respective segments. Along with that, we assigned the few labels. Okay, this we call as segment labels. We assigned to few segments. Why we assigned, we don't know. We'll come to know. This is what we did. Any questions from anyone, please? Good. No questions. Now, click on save and close. So we created value sets. We created chart of account structure name and segments created within the chart of accounts. For each segment, we assign the relevant value sets. And for few segments, we assign the segment labels. So all put together, you can call as chart of accounts is ready. But in our instance, we cannot use the chart of accounts directly. We have to make a copy of chart of accounts so that we can use in the system environment. There are several reasons why they're given like that. We will discuss. We'll discuss when you create it. So the chart of accounts, what we created, we cannot use directly. You have to copy the chart of accounts. The copied chart of account only you can use. When you copy the chart of accounts, you should call the chart of accounts with this name. Chart of account structure instance. Instance meaning is replica, copy. Copy of what? Chart of account. So chart of account structure instance. So now we have to copy our chart of account structure that we are calling as a chart of account structure instance. Let's see how to create the chart of account structure instance. Creating chart of account structure instance is nothing but copying our chart of account structure. So click on done. So here, by selecting the tab called as manage structures, we created chart of account structure. Now we want to create chart of account structure instance. You can click on manage chart of account structure instances. Even if you use the task called as manage chart of account structures, will come to this page only. Manage chart of account structure. These two tasks will take us to same page, no difference. Okay. Click on go to task icon. Click on search. So from here you can create the structure. From here you can create the chart of account structure instance. Click on manage structure instances. We are going to copy the chart of account structure as instance. We are going to copy. So just click on create. So what name you want to give? Same name you can give, but we are practicing to identify certain things which we are able to use, which you are not able to use. I'll just make small difference in the name. Amex Accounting Flex. Please remember this name. For structure, we given Amex Accounting Flex. For instance, we are giving Amex just Flex only, not Flex field. So that we can understand, are we going to use chart of account structure or chart of account structure instance when we record the transactions? The same structure instance code it is taking as the API name. Already discussed the purpose of API. It is purely for technical purpose. We no need to do anything with that. Copy this code and take as a name and as a description as required. Now we are going to create this instance based on which structure. Select structure here. The structure is Amex Accounting Flex field. We are going to copy Amex Accounting Flex field to create this instance. Select. So within this structure, what are the segments we have? It is copying. It is copying here means it is taking into this instance. So the data is copied from this structure to this instance. It means the structure is acting as a template. By using one structure, you can create multiple instances. Okay, chart of account structure is acting as a template. So by using the chart of account structure, one chart of account structure, you can create multiple instances, but not required. Reality, we don't need to create, but that flexibility we have. Now, so all the segments which are available in Amex accounting flex field structure, those are copied into this instance name. Now you have to select all these as required into this instance. Here is the one column called as required. So you have to mark all these as required. How to do that? Select company segment, click on edit, enable as required, and say OK. Select department, click on edit, enable as required. Select account, click on edit, say required. Just we are marking all the segments as required. You should select all as required. If you don't select even single segment, you cannot use this chart of account structure instance for any purposes. You have to set everything as required. Since you have everything, these segments in the chart of account structure, all you have to set as a required so that you can use all this. Say okay. So this is how we have to create the chart of account structure instance. In fact, the chart of account structure instance concept we don't have in EBS. Prior to Fusion, we have a EBS version of application from Oracle. But in EBS, we don't have this chart of account structure instance concept. We have only chart of account structure that you can use directly to record the transactions. In Fusion, they introduced this chart of account structure instance. The reason is already we discussed. As a part of Fusion, Oracle is just leveraging different acquired products capabilities and to sync the data flows and to bring the logic of data synchronizations and all. They introduce this instance concept. When we talk about FRS, financial reporting, Hyperion financial reporting, or many other concepts and Hyperion products, this data need to be synced, but not directly from the chart of accounts. With the copy of chart of account, this object definition is required. For all those reasons, they introduce the chart of account structure concept. Apart from that, if you don't consider those points, really chart of account structure instance is not required. Chart of account structure is more than enough to use and to create the transactions. So there are many dependencies, there are many reasons why Oracle created instance, but there is no direct reason which will add additional benefit within the financials. By understanding the landscape of the different instances, what the different products they are using in the Fusion applications, and to just to collaborate all those applications to bring on one single platform of data communication and data synchronizations, they introduce this instance concept. Otherwise, there is no other benefit of this instance. Now, please make a note of this point. Now, say save and close. Functional finance point of view, what we have to understand after creating chart of account structure, we have to create instance. Otherwise, the chart of account structure we cannot use. That's all. Done. Now, after completing this, we have to submit our chart of account structure for deployment. Deploying is nothing but we have to submit our chart of accounts for validation. When you submit chart of account structure for validation, system will verify 2 points. One is for company, primary balance and segment label is assigned or not. For account, natural account segment label is assigned or not. Okay, this is one thing. The primary balance and segment label, natural account segment label, these two are mandatory. You should assign to these segments. This is a 1 point system will verify. The second point it will verify the one label is assigned to more than one segment or not, it will check. We should not assign one label to more than one segment. When you assign the primary balance and segment label to company, again, you should not assign the primary balance and segment label to any other segment. This 2-point system will validate the primary balance and segment label and natural account segment label. These two labels are being used in every chart of accounts or not. It will verify. The second point, one label is assigned more than one segment or not, it will check. It should not be assigned. If it is assigned, it will stop the process. If you don't assign these two labels to minimum 2 segments, you cannot complete the validation. So it won't worry about cost center segment label is assigned or not, intercompany segment label is assigned or not, so and so segment label is assigned or not. It is not going to worry about those segments. It will look for primary balance and segment label, natural account segment label, these two being used in our chart of accounts or not, it will check. Since these two labels are mandatory, remember, primary balance and segment label, natural account segment labels are mandatory labels we should use in every chart of accounts. The purpose will come to know soon. And other point is one label, any label, one label can be assigned to one label, you should assign to only one segment, not more than one. System will allow you. If you want to assign to more than one, it will allow. When you submit for validation, it will show your mistake. Okay, so these 2 points can be validated by deployment process. So where we created our chart of accounts within the accounting key flex field. Within the accounting key flex field, inside we created our chart of accounts. We don't have any option of validating our own chart of accounts. So we cannot select our chart of accounts and we cannot submit for deployment. Deployment is nothing but validation. We cannot submit for deployment. If you want to deploy, if you want to validate our chart of accounts, our chart of account is part of accounting flex field. Now entire accounting flex field you have to submit for validation. So within this accounting flex field, there could be many chart of accounts which are created by others for practice purpose. When you do the real implementation, we create chart of accounts, nobody will touch it. But here, this is a practice instance. When you create your chart of accounts, others will create their chart of accounts. When you submit for a deployment at accounting flex field level, it will look at all the chart of accounts which are available in the accounting flex field and it will check the rules. Primary balance and segment and natural account segment labels are assigned to all the segments or not. And one label is assigned to more than one segment label or not. This is what it will check. If it identifies any issue, it will stop the entire process. It won't deploy our chart of accounts also, even our chart of account is properly defined. Okay, this is a point we have to understand. When we are practicing, you have to correct others' mistakes also in case of chart of accounts, not everything, only chart of accounts point of view. So you created chart of accounts very properly, how it should be, but others created without knowing how it should be created. When you submit your chart of accounts for deployment, you have to correct other chart of accounts errors also. Otherwise, you cannot proceed. Your chart of accounts also cannot be validated. Your chart of account also cannot be deployed. Because the deployment takes place, the validation takes place entire accounting flex field level, not at your chart of accounts level. So this is a very important point which you have to understand. Now what we can do is we will go and remove one label to our chart of account so that you can understand. We are not sure any mistakes are already done in this instance. So we will make some mistake so that how it will give the note to us, we will understand. Take company. Click on edit. Yes, we have to assign primary balance and segment label. We assign, but I am removing. Double click, it will be removed. Say save and close. Now, if you submit the accounting flex field for deployment, inside of that accounting flex field only we have our chart of accounts. System will identify in our chart of account there is some issue, that is primary balance and segment label is not assigned. It will throw error message. Let's see that. Click on deploy. And one more point. The same time, if others are working in this page, it won't allow you to deploy also. You have to wait. Click on deploy flex field. If any errors, it will detect. Any warnings, you no need to worry about it. So it identified one error. Flex field metadata validation, one error, 0 warnings. Expand it. You can find that error is belongs to which chart of account structure and which segment. Here clearly it mentioned. Somewhat we can read and somewhat it is system language, but finally you can fetch what it says. You must assign a required label called as GL balancing. GL balancing label need to be assigned. GL balancing is nothing but primary balancing segment label to at least one segment. At least one segment, the structure name is Amex accounting flex field. It is saying in Amex accounting flex field structure, you must assign the GL balancing label. GL balancing label is nothing but primary balancing segment label. The balancing is matching. That's what you can catch. So it is giving that message. It identified in one of the chart of accounts in our accounting flex field, and so-and-so segment, so-and-so label is missing. It identified, it is throwing the error message. This is what you have to read. When you get error message, always you follow this. You expand it. Sometimes when you are practicing, the error message may shows the same issue with the 2-3 chart of accounts. Yes, we have to fix it because we are learning. There is no other option. We have to fix. Then you will be able to submit your chart of accounts for a deployment. Once it's deployed, you can use it. Otherwise, you cannot. So you have to go through the error message and you have to read what system is saying. Okay, system is saying, and you have to fix it. If you don't assign natural account segment label to account segment, again, it will give the relevant message. Okay, the natural account segment label is missing. You must assign in so-and-so value, so-and-so chart of account structure. So that sort of message you get. Accordingly, you can go and fix it. Go to manage structures. Find out our Amex. Edit. So fix issue which is associated with the primary balancing segment label. Assign primary balancing segment label to company, so it will understand and it will allow us to proceed. For our testing purpose, let's remove natural account segment label which is assigned to account. Now again it will detect. It will detect this issue. So done. Click on deploy. Identified. Now read the message. You must assign a required label called a GL account. GL account. Account and account is matching. Natural account, GL account. That is the meaning of natural account. At least one segment in the Amex accounting flex field. Natural account segment label you have to assign to account only. It is saying to any segment. Any segment means which segment we know. So it is missing. GL account label is missing means natural account segment label is missing in the chart of accounts. You have to go and fix it. In the same way, if you assign one label to more than one segment also, it won't allow. See here, primary balancing segment label I assigned to company. Again, I am assigning to account. We should not do that. System will allow, but we should not do. One label for only one segment. Now, I will submit for a deployment. It will detect the issue. So it identified. What is the error message says? You can assign a unique segment label called as GL balancing, primary balancing, to only one segment. Okay. But in this structure called as Amex accounting flex field, Okay, we assign more than one segment, which is like which label GL balancing. GL balancing means primary balancing segment label is assigned to more than one segment. In this chart of account, it is saying. Now go and fix it. So this is how you come across with us issues related to maybe others related chart of accounts. You fix it so that you will be able to deploy. After deploying, let others do mistakes, no worries. Only one time. When you create chart of accounts for first time, when you are deploying, if any existing issues are there, you have to fix and you deploy your chart of accounts. Once you deploy your chart of accounts, even if somebody is going to do the mistakes, you no need to worry about it. Your chart of account is deployed one time, that is more than enough. Okay, one label to one segment only. Now deploy. It will go smooth. It will take some time. When you try to deploy, same time already submitted deployment or somebody on the same page, it won't allow you to deploy. Okay, it won't allow you to deploy. Others will submit the deployment. Even your chart of accounts will be deployed for your confirmation purpose. You may submit the deployment once again when you get a chance of performing the deployment when other user is not on the same page. So this is what we have to understand about chart of account creation and deployment. So we just done up to here.
Lakshman.
Lakshman, one question here. Can in a company there could be a multiple chart of accounts? Or
What do you mean by company? What you are referring
means,
as
for
a company?
example, we are implementing a project, right, at the initial stage. So only one chart of account will be there, or it could be multiple.
See, you are implementing for 4 countries.
Yeah.
Okay, 4 countries. 4 countries can use the same chart of account. Okay, country specific, something else will define separately.
Okay.
Ledger or setup book, etc.
So it's a global. We can define global chart of account, and
Yes.
okay, so
Yeah,
they
yeah.
can use it. Okay.
Yeah. One chart of account is enough. One chart of account is enough. Even if you are running the business in 10 countries to accommodate your all reporting requirements and all, one chart of account would be enough. That's the best practice.
Okay.
Yeah. If you want to create separate, you create for each country separate. So just there will be kind of a burden of managing those chart of accounts. Yeah.
Lakshman, I have a doubt.
Please.
Suppose like the label for company we assign natural account segment, and for account we have given the primary balance segment. So then while validating, does it throw error or like? Because
You can assign any label to any segment, but we should aware what to what.
yeah, does it throw error or not?
No, it will check in chart of accounts. Primary balancing segment is assigned or not to any one of the segment. Natural account segment label is assigned to any one of the segment or not. This is what it will see. It won't verify primary balancing segment label is assigned to company or not. Okay, natural account segment label is assigned to account or not. That is our headache. We have to take care. System headache is just it will check these 2 are being used or not, at least. That's
okay.
Yeah, that we have to take care, because when we understand what is the purpose of the labels, we can assign to right segments.
Sure.
Yeah, this is the point.
Lakshman, I have one question. So which
Please,
means
can you be a bit louder? So your
Yeah.
voice is very feeble.
yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, somewhat better. Let's try.
Okay, see so can we say that once you deploy the flex field, I can later go and change the cost center, the intercompany, the qualifiers later.
Anything
Like
you
I'm going
can
to
do. You
deploy.
don't assign cost center and intercompany labels to your segments. Later you can go and assign, no worries. Or else whatever you assign, you can go and remove it. When you do the
Okay.
changes, again it will ask you to submit the deployment. When you deploy, it will look for only 2 labels. Primary balance and natural accounts are associated with the segments or not. It doesn't
Okay.
bother about whether labels, additional labels are assigned or removed.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. And one time only you have to take care of these things. When you create the chart of account for first time, ensure that the deployment is done. Once deployment is done, if others are going to create the new chart of accounts or they're deploying errors and all, those are not going to influence on your chart of accounts. Yeah. One time. Later, any other kind of new chart of accounts or changes, etc. to from others, you don't need to worry about it. You created, you deploy. When you deploy, by the time if any issues are there, you have to fix. Once you deploy, later if any issues, you don't need to worry about it. The others who are creating the new chart of accounts after you, they have to take care of it.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah. So fine, it will complete the deployment. Maybe it may take 2 to 3 minutes more time, and it will complete the deployment. So we'll see that endpoint also here. So we're done for today. Okay, tomorrow session we'll see how to create the values in this, how to assign the value attributes by using this chart of accounts, calendar, currency, what we can create to create the transaction, the system. Those points we'll discuss in the tomorrow session. Okay. So today and tomorrow, we are going to run this session with limited time. From next weekend onwards, we can spend more time because, for last 1 or 2 weekends, since it was a festival season, we could not see the the participants. So that is the reason we are just going to limit so that they'll get time to go through these completed sessions and they can start working on instance also to reach the current stage to understand the points. Yeah.
So what would be the timing for next weekend?
Same
Lakshman?
time.
Means 8 to 9:30 only, right?
Yeah, 8 to 9:30. We will tomorrow we'll discuss. Okay, we can extend or else how we can do. For next weekend also we may follow the same timings. Later we can change little bit. We can increase.
I think so. That would be fine. Otherwise, what happened? It's so much to store in the mind. I think 1.5 would be enough.
That's true. See, that's the reason the initial sessions I'm just keeping very limited time frame so that you can absorb everything. Once you get into this application, you will easily we can start moving. Even if you extend some time frame and all, you will be able to manage. We'll see that, not an issue. We'll go as per our comfort.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Lakshman, Raj here.
Yeah.
So this is my first session actually. So
Okay.
I think it's a session 10th, right? Class 10th.
No, not 10th. It is just 7th.
Oh, just 7th.
7th.
Okay, so 6 sessions are available on YouTube.
Here. The first session and second session, just we discussed what is the meaning of our course name. That's all.
Okay.
What does it mean by Oracle Fusion Cloud Financials?
Okay.
Or the meaning of what the product's all about. Later in the 2 sessions, we have seen how to create implementation project. To do the setups, we have to create implementation project. In the 5th session, we have seen how to create the calendar. When you create the transaction, you have to capture the dates when you did some so-and-so activity as a part of business that we discussed. Calendar creation and the currencies. The 6th session, almost what we are doing today, the same we did and we are repeating now.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I'm clear.
Yeah.
So I have one more question, Lakshman. I'm not sure whether you help me. So actually, I'm attending interviews. I live in US.
Okay.
So I have few questions, like interview related questions.
Okay.
So, I mean, do you get some time to just clarify for me? Like,
let me understand what is the phenomena when you say you are attending interviews. Are you attending interviews on EBS or Fusion or both? What?
in Fusion.
On Fusion you are attending.
Yeah.
Are you comfortable with the Fusion? If I put some questions, will you be able to answer?
No, I was actually working on just like
No, directly,
receivables and cash.
don't mind for my way of questions. My simple question is, if I put some questions now, right now, will you be able to answer on the Fusion?
I'm not sure. Like I
Okay,
just
that's
know
fine.
very limited
See,
knowledge.
even if I'm going to help you by answering to your questions, but you will get struck. You are going to check your luck in the interviews now, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you can wait for some time. Don't take a negative way, what I'm
Okay.
saying. So better you can just see what, do one thing. You get all the previous batch videos. You keep in touch with our team. Our team will help you to get complete batch videos. See, now you may plan to attend this weekend classes, but we have a previous batch videos. You can play in your free time. You can go on fast track and you can play, so that's how you can get ready. Now, say you might have faced 3-4 critical questions which you felt because you have a good amount of EBS experience. That boosted you to attend this Fusion
Yes.
interviews by just understanding very high level of Fusion applications, and you are somewhere some dots you are not able to connect. And you may ask some questions, I'll answer. Definitely, I'm ready to help you out on that. But in the next interview, again, you will have a different version of questions from Fusion, right? If you
Yeah.
can walk through and fast track the previous batch videos, you can get ready from your end. When you are facing the interview, if you have any questions, definitely you can answer. Still, if you identify any gaps, I'll be there to help you. This is what I could see as a best approach. You can go in your own way, but I'll be there to help you if you need any help.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Lakshman.
Yeah. Thanks. Okay. Fine. Still no worries. Still just to discuss. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll discuss. But I'll take your questions maybe after taking questions from others. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. Please wait for some time. We'll see that. Any
Sure.
questions from anyone, please? Okay. No questions.
Sir, can you
Lakshman,
please provide instance for
Please,
practice?
please. Sorry.
Can you please provide instance for practice?
Sure. You talk to the team. They will help you on that.
Yeah, already sent emails.
Yes, that's what you talk to that. It's not sending message. You can call and talk to them if you don't see any response. So that's how you'll get instance access. When you talk to them, I'll get a request from them. I'll be granting the instance access. So you can start working on it.
Yeah, like I have talked to the team and they said like we need to email you for the access.
Okay, just give me your name. What is your name? Good name.
Dilip Kumar.
It's Rahul.
Dilip.
Yes, DILIP.
Sorry. Yeah. Dilip,
And
you
my
are in
name is
touch with
Rahul.
me from the team?
Yes, Saida.
Saida. And some Rahul. Rahul, what about you? You are in
Saida, sir.
Saida. You also Saida. Yeah. Let me talk to Saida. Accordingly, I'll just share the credentials.
Lakshman, can you write my name as well? Ashish Desai with Mounika.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. Done. Okay. Rest you need access in the sense you can talk to the respective our team members. Okay. So,
Lakshman, how
get
to
it.
connect with the team members? Means
Yeah,
is
you
there
have
any
to talk to the team. They will help you to get the instance.
but how to connect with them? Is there any WhatsApp group of the team
No.
or
How you are attending these classes? How did you get instance this meeting link? Might have sent you,
I'm
right?
getting from this side.
Saida, yeah, I'm talking about Saida only then. Talk to Saida. Yeah,
Okay.
please. You can WhatsApp him or else you can call
Okay.
friends.
Fine.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, done. I'll take your question. Just give me 1 second. So I'm just passing the recording because that information is at this stage, nobody is required. We will discuss.